BFM 89.9, good morning, I'm Nadia Hassan with your morning headlines, or as it continues to be, headline. Basically, the whole world of MH370 has gripped the world and it still continues. But almost 2 weeks on, it seems that a lot of leads are being chased, a lot of incidences have happened, but still no definite answer about the plane. In fact, CNN has this report on people who have either spotted it or some who have crashed it, but seems to be no follow-up. And in fact, News Straits Times has been leading the fray by talking about how the plane, it was a silent night. So they've asked all 11 nations in North and Southern States to continue finishing with the radar data in its bid to fly an MH370. And then this is interesting, NSC's been doing a series of very exclusive breakings. Some of the leads have panned out, some of them have not. They said that they found that based on radar playback obtained independently, that's an interesting point, what do you mean independently, the airspace in search areas was relatively quiet in the early hours of March 18. So why wouldn't anybody picking up? And as the case is, the mystery just gets any deeper. And you're talking about places that you actually kind of want to go. It's all over the place. It depends if you read the papers. Sina goes with Tumpuan Kutara, which means head north. If you go to Star, it goes focus down south, which means going a lot down. And then if you go to Utosan, it says 5 locations in total. So as you can see, it seems that not only has the radar kind of widened in terms of the search area, it seems to have spread up, north, up and sideways. And it really does have so many people questioning where is the plane. And in fact, it's gotten to such a boiling point that a number of the Chinese relatives actually stormed the press conference yesterday. It's a very unflattering video, if you can see it online, of crying victims saying, where's my son, where's my family? All of this is definitely going to be a bit of an impact, but it's interesting to see how the people have actually sort of framed it. So Sun frames it as fracas at KLIA. They said that police removed angry Chinese. I do like that it's actually in big red capitals, saying that the fracas between several family members of the Chinese passenger flight and policemen occurred at the media center. So emotions boiled over, people wailed. It's been almost 2 weeks. I'm not surprised that people are very, very upset about it. But if you see the video, it's ridiculously unflattering for the very simple reason that you see these police dragging out these screaming, wailing women. So some people will wonder whether or not you could have done it a lot better. You have to also think about it. In that kind of state of grief, nothing's going to calm them down. And if you want to do it, I suppose you don't want to do it in full view of the world's press with cameras snapping all the time. You know, she broke down, cried loudly. And it just shows that after almost 2 weeks of searching, people have just boiled over and they're just wondering, where is this plane? You know, it's a huge plane. You can't exactly sort of disappear it. You know, it's not to make a joke out of it, but the fact is, you know, some people are wondering what happened, is what conspiracy theories are happening, and in order to stop this, you know, answers need to be found. But the thing is, are answers to be found? And that is the main question that's going to run through the whole kind of issue. And now the feds are involved in it as well, because it says that the FBI wants to take the simulator, basically the computer that the pilot actually used to the lab was sent, and they want to look at the flight data, because there was also a bit of an issue, the fact that some of the flight data was deleted, and does that indicate anything? But at the moment, nobody wants to point fingers at the families. It's all innocent until proven guilty. You know, the fact that it says padam data, which means that it actually got rid of the data. What does that mean? If that means anything, at this point everybody's just chasing leads, and we'll just have to see what this pans out. But 2 weeks on, I think people are starting to get very, very antsy about it. The Malay Mail has a very interesting kind of way put it, besides the fact that they tell you they have a new masthead coming up, which will be something to look forward to for them. They said, tell your people China. MCA chief wants China government to explain the situation to its people because of this chaotic turn of events after China nationals demand answers from authorities. Tensions rise between KL and Beijing, and let's be very honest, they're not somebody in the playground you want to poke a stick at. You know, as the rescue for MH30 reaches the 13th day, it is the big stake. And you know, this is going to just keep on unraveling, and one hopes that you actually get to a point sooner or later. Besides MH370, there are other news, as much as it's been relegated to kind of the back pages of it. As you can see by this wonderfully little chubby boy who's taking a bath, the fact is that you will still have water restrictions up until the end of March, which is what Sina Harian tells you as well. It will actually go on to the end of March. Actually, Tan Sri Khalid said in the financial papers that he's asking the government to invoke WASIA because that means a 2 billion off the price tag that you need to pay the water concessionaires, saying that you want to pay the water concessionaires but not for the equity in the company, which I can pretty much bet you that all the companies who are listed are just sitting there and seething in rage. But yes, it's going to be one of those issues that's going to be drawn out. And other bits and pieces in the news today, Deputy Home Minister's statement draws flack, as it very well should, to be very honest with you. Okay, so let's just to elaborate, Deputy Home Minister Dr. Wan Junaidi Tunku Jaafar has drawn flack with statistics of statutory rape. He said basically that Dewan Rakyat on Tuesday that 1,147 of the cases were reported by Malays. Some non-Malays have of course taken offence, as they very well should, as it's insinuated they're not affected by issues as the Malays, which is quite interesting. And MCA President Datuk Sri Leow Tiong Lai said Datuk Wan Junaidi should be more careful when making statements. He has bitten back and said, look, my wife's Chinese, my relatives are all, so how can you say I'm racist? But he says somehow when people touch on racial issues, others tend to be offended as it is sensitive. It is at this fact. And the fact is, we really don't know where he drew his statistics from, what kind of statement he was trying to make. So it's no kind of surprise that they actually went into a furor. In fact, you did have a couple of letters come in, and I would just like to talk about making sense of child rape data. As he said, low incidence of statutory rape involving non-Malay children being due to non-Malays being more accepting of child rape. That statement actually brings to mind this whole thing about a senator in the US who came out and talked about women cannot get pregnant from legitimate rape. And it just boggles the mind when you actually think about it, this thing. And the person here, Datuk Teo Yi San, the assistant professor of National Taiwan, said that he's appalled that lawmakers make such a baseless and inappropriate comments about attitudes towards child rape. The person underneath it actually talks about starting sex education lessons early, and definitely I agree that maybe people should be stopped squeamish and actually go forward for it. Actually, on the other side of this, on The Sun, is talking about the Future Music Festival and the death that occurred, the days when the music died. Is playing, of course, on American Pie lyrics, saying that, you know, the day the music died. And then they said there was no indication at First Day Festival that any untoward would happen. Come on, let's be realistic. A lot of these festivals are not really about the music as much as some people want to give, but in my opinion, that's basically the case. A lot of people get that cut loose, but of course they ruin it for everybody else, and it's something that you definitely have to keep an impact on and keep an eye on for sure. But let's end a little bit on a happier note, because today is the day that you release the results of SPM and SDPM. So as the case will be whenever that happens, we will get happy pictures of people actually getting great results. It's very great. You'll have a lot of smiling children, a lot of feel-good stories, and of course usually that dominates the headlines, but of course this time around the plane is dominating it a bit more. But otherwise, it's a happier thing to do. So if you're one of those getting the results, good luck, and I hope that it was a happy day for you. And that's all from me. I'm Nadia Hassan for BFM Headlines on BFM 89.9.